guys, and welcome back to my channel. I felt like because we are still relatively close into the beginning of the year that this would be a fitting video to film. I've done a couple of roundup videos in the sense of like chatting about my life, but I wanted to share with you more of like a roundup of some of my best and worst purchases of 2020. We're gonna start off with the best purchases, or not even purchases, just best and worst acquisitions of 2020. Just like new things that were new to me that I felt like really made sense and not only were valuable to my life, but also helped get past through last year, because as we all know, last year was like hella traumatic. Not to say that 2021 is not significantly better yet, but I feel like we're already off on a better footing. So let's just go through all the things that I've recently enjoyed that have been new to me for 2020 and how it has impacted me this past year. So jumping right into it, we have 10 things in total. These are not ranked in any sort of order whatsoever at all. So yeah, I'm just gonna share them in the order that I've just decided to create them in when they popped up into my head. There is no specification as to why one came first versus the other. Some of these were gifted items, some of them were purchased items on my own. I will indicate if any of these are gifted so that you guys are aware and that I'm fully transparent up front, but because they were gifted, it does not by any means change my actual opinion for them. So I just want to let you guys know this video is not sponsored. This whole entire video is my own opinion and my thoughts on these products, and obviously they've made the list because they've impacted my life relatively well for the past year. So let's jump right into it. All right, so item number one, and I think probably the biggest, no, the car was the biggest purchase. Actually, I should include that into here. I'm gonna replace something with the car. So item number one, the car. The biggest purchase of this year was our brand new car. We went through first lockdown without a car at all, and we realized how much it sucked. Fortunately, lockdown was in spring, summer, so everything was relatively easy for us to access. In the summertime, we could walk to the grocery store, walk to the parks. Not to say that we can't walk to grocery stores and parks right now, but it's significantly colder. I mean, Toronto doesn't get as cold as Ottawa, but you don't really want to walk to the grocery store in minus 20-degree weather and lug back grocery bags and backpacks full of groceries. So we figured, you know what, this virus doesn't seem like it's going anywhere anytime soon, so let's get a car just in case for lockdown 2 if it ever comes around, so that we have it and we can go and do things. We can go do groceries and not be limited to the grocery stores that are only near us. Now we have access to like a No Frills that's really large, so that's about like a 10-15 minute drive away. We have access to Nations and TNT, Markham, Chinatown, so we can get a wide abundance of different groceries without being limited to only like Freshco and Metro and Organic Garage, because those are the only ones that were within a relatively close walking distance to us that made sense, especially for wintertime. I'm not trying to walk 30 minutes just to do my groceries. I know some people do, so I completely understand that I have a huge privilege to be able to have a car to do these things, but we wanted the car to give us a larger access of various grocery stores, places to go visit, things to do, that sort of thing. So the car, hands down, number one, is my most grateful purchase of 2020. It was a huge purchase for us. Very first car that both of us have ever bought before. We didn't want to splurge and get anything fancy. We honestly just wanted something that was going to get us from point A to point B, and the trusty Hyundai did it. So we have our car now, and that's probably my favorite purchase to date. Item number two, which is the second most expensive purchase in 2020, was the purchase of one of my dream bags, my Chanel Small Diana. If you guys have not seen the other videos so far, make sure you head over to there and watch them. I'm going to include a card above of what's currently in my bag, and I run through everything that I hold inside of the Chanel and essentially kind of shares with you what can fit into here and my thoughts on this bag and why I've been carrying it around so much recently. I also have a designer handbag review that I did on this bag, which I will also link in another card above if you would like me to go into full details and do a deep dive on this bag and whether or not I thought it was worth it, along with my experience with purchasing this bag. Since it was a vintage piece, I did not purchase this in store. I purchased this from a trusted reseller over Instagram, actually. So yeah, so those two are up there. You guys can check those two videos out, and it'll give you more details as to what this bag fits, my experience with it, and that sort of thing. But yeah, this bag has been on my radar for so freaking long. A fellow content creator of mine who lives in New York, Alyssa, I visited her a few times when I've been to New York in the past, bought this bag I think a few years back, and I absolutely fell in love with it when I saw it, and I just knew it had to be mine. So it's been on my mind ever since, and I've been on the hunt for it. Now Chanel has increased quite a bit over the past few years, like a couple of times each year, so every time that goes up, the value of this bag goes up as well. And because it is a vintage piece, it's so hard to find the perfect one. You're not just gonna buy it and have the perfect one every single time. When you want the perfect one, it costs a lot more than one that is damaged. So finally took the plunge, bought myself my first ever vintage Chanel bag, and I am over the moon, overjoyed. I mean, I've had this bag for a couple months now, but I still love it to bits and every single day. And I don't foresee myself anytime soon getting over this bag. It's such a classic look. So yeah, probably one of my best purchases of 2020. It's expensive, but I don't regret it. I absolutely thoroughly love this bag. I don't think I made any other bag purchases this year. If you guys remember me purchasing anything else, please comment down below and let me know, because it has lost my mind. That's how much I love this bag. It's the only one that exists in my head right now, and I'm gonna try to see if I can keep this as a norm to only buy one bag a year, because I truly don't need that many. And to be honest, with this past year of us not really being able to go anywhere, I've only really rotated between like 3 bags. This one, my Celine, and my Gucci Soho Disco. Like, they're all my black bags, and they're the ones that I've been using the most because they're the most practical ones. So yeah, gonna try for 2021 to not purchase any bags except for one. That is my limit, just one bag. Moving on to number 3. One of my next favorite acquisitions for 2020 is the Nintendo DS. So this one was actually gifted to us directly by Nintendo, and I had my eye on one for so long. So many of my friends and family members told me that I need to play Overcooked 2, and I can guarantee you, Peter and I ran through that whole game. They did give us a couple of credits to acquire games when we first got this, and more or less we put onto a campaign to test it out and see how we liked it. We fell in love with it, safe to say. We fell in love with it so much that we purchased our own games afterwards. I think we purchased the entire Overcooked 2 expansion packs and all the additional games that come with it because we were so obsessed with it, and we've actually finished it now. So we are currently in the process of getting the 4th star on all the levels to unlock all the secret heaven levels. I think that's what they're called, heaven levels. But that's how much we love this game. And Peter actually plays Tetris on this so much. Little known fact about him, he used to be a Tetris fiend back in high school and university, and when we would go study, he would literally just play Tetris on his break time when he wanted to kill time in between studying. So yeah, now he plays Tetris on the DS. So there's that. Even though we were gifted this, I would definitely go back and repurchase this either for myself or purchase this for a gift for a friend or family member down the road. We've even considered purchasing a couple of extra controllers as well, just to be able to play with other friends when they come over, when it's allowed to have friends over again. But we've definitely looked into purchasing some additional add-ons to this. I've already purchased a carrying case for it because I brought it with me when we went home to Ottawa. I brought it with me whenever we went traveling, especially like to Montreal, because that's how addicted we are to this. I like to be able to play this whenever I can, and I love how portable this little gaming system is. I'm not the biggest gamer, so this size is perfect for me, especially with the portability of it and how easy it is to play with multiple players as well. Honestly guys, I also grew up playing like things like GameCube, so this is right up my alley. Anybody who is a fan of Super Mario is going to love this. So if you guys are able to get your hands on one, I know early back in last year they had very limited runs on it, and it was really hard to get a hold of because it would get sold out every single time any retailer had extra stock. But if you can, highly recommended. Probably one of my favorite acquisitions of 2020, even though it was gifted. We still use it to this date. I thrive off my Nintendo DS. Item number 4, that is one of my favorites, and this is something that I did purchase. It is a cage for my camera. I'm going to pop up a little image right here to show you what exactly that is. And what a cage is that it's essentially what it is. It's like a cage, it goes around your camera. It's a bunch of bars, you screw it in, and allows you to mount so many additional accessories onto it. I was originally using a mic for my camera, and it uses a horseshoe mount. The camera that I shoot on, which is a Canon 5D Mark IV, only has a singular mount on the top of it, and I needed an additional mount for other things, such as mounting my phone when I want to use it to view things. I actually started using my phone quite a bit midway through 2020 as a screen to see myself when I'm shooting my camera, because my camera doesn't have one of those articulating screens that can kind of roll out and flip over so that you can see it. So I wanted to be able to see myself to know whether or not I'm in focus, is the camera bright enough, that sort of thing. I ended up purchasing, well, I didn't. Peter purchased me an LCD screen for Christmas, and I wanted a cage, so I actually bought one a couple months before that without knowing he actually purchased me the screen. The cage was so that I could mount the phone and the mic onto the camera and have different areas to mount things onto, and now it works out perfectly because I have a screen for my camera now. So even though I can't show you what it looks like, you guys probably saw from the photo, it is one of my favorite purchases of the year because it just allowed me to be so much more versatile with my camera and to add so many more additional like little add-ons and mounts to it, and just makes it a little bit more, I don't know, user-friendly to me. I can now customize my camera to have the perfect setup. I never envisioned myself having this sort of a setup when I first started YouTube. I have like the crazy tripod, the travel-friendly tripod for my camera, the cage, a mic, an LCD screen. I now have a C-stand with also a reflector to the side here to make myself brighter. This is a lot more professional than what I thought I would ever be when I started this like 3 years ago. And I know as we progress more and more and I start to add on more things here and there, it's gonna get kind of crazy, this setup. But just so you guys know, if you guys are starting out on YouTube, you definitely don't need all of this. These are just things that I found that they were holes in my system as I was producing content that I needed to fill, or problems that I ran into that I found that equipment will help solve that. So as you go along, you start acquiring more and more equipment. Definitely don't think that you guys need to start off with all this to begin with. When I first started off with was just my camera and a tripod, and I even used just the mic on the camera. That's how bad the audio quality is. So yeah, I'm very happy for my cage. I think it's built out a really great mount for my camera system and I love it. So item number 5 is also another techie piece. We might as well go through all the techie pieces, I feel like, and that would be the acquisition of my brand new phone. So I last year purchased the iPhone 12 Pro. This is not the 12 Pro Max, primarily because I used to have an 8 Plus, and I found that that phone was already really large on its own. I had a hard time holding it, kind of putting my hands all the way over to the side comfortably when I was using one hand to scroll, and my thumb had a hard time reaching from one side to the other. So I didn't want a Max because I knew that that was already a little bit larger than the 8 Plus, and even though the 12 Pro is slightly smaller than the 8 Plus, it's like the perfect size in my hand. It's like a full screen now too, so I can see everything whenever I'm doing work or editing or answering emails. So it's actually so perfect. The camera quality is such an upgrade compared to my 8 Plus. I have never really been much of an iPhone photography person before, but now that I started shooting with this and I've compared how well the camera is built on this one compared to the 8 Plus, it is like miles ahead. I've shot so many of my reels on this camera alone and it just sometimes looks like professional DSLR grade quality. You do have to be very careful though when you're shooting with camera phones that you have ideal lighting. That's the only issue that I've run into, is that when you're shooting stuff on your phone, you have to have perfect lighting, because if you don't, there is no saving it. However, when you shoot on a DSLR, you can definitely save it regardless of the light settings. So that's the only toss-up that you have. In ideal lighting, a camera phone is more than enough to create the perfect images. However, if you're not somebody who knows how to search for perfect light, or you don't always have access to perfect lighting, then the phone is great. It's gonna save you, but it won't necessarily be as versatile for editing purposes as a camera. But I'm so happy I upgraded to this. My other phone, I had dropped it so many freaking times and it had died. So I was due for a new one. It was like a full 3 years, and I try to wait 3 years in between each phone so I maximize them out fully. So I'm very happy that I have the 12 Pro now. I know Peter's been itching for a new phone as well because he's also on the 8 Plus, so he may transfer over to the 12 Pro soon. I think this is the year that he's gonna buy himself another phone, but we'll see. Maybe we'll wait out for the next upgrade and let him get, like, I don't know, will he get the iPhone 12 or does he just get the 13 if they're gonna release another one this year? I can't remember how frequently Apple releases phones, but I feel like by the time he gets another one, it'll be a new release anyway, so might as well get the most recent one. So now that we're done tech accessories, we're gonna move on to more like everyday household items. First things first are hair accessories. Number one things I'm so happy that I added into my routines this year are silk scrunchies. I have talked about these so much on my blog, and I think in previous videos as well. Silk scrunchies have actually changed my life. So I have quite long hair, as you can see, and I only wash it. Wow, the ends look tragic. I need to wash my hair tonight. I only wash my hair every like 4 to 5 days, just because I've trained it to do that so that there's not a lot of oil buildup on my scalp. Otherwise I would have to wash it every day, and since I style it quite frequently, I didn't want to have to wash and style every single day, because that's actually pretty bad for your hair when you're putting that much heat on it. So because I've trained it for that long now, it does tend to get kind of knotted towards the ends, and because I have such long hair, I always need it tied up and away from my face. I've noticed over the recent years that I feel like I have a slightly receding hairline. Number one, because I always like to pull my hair back really tight whenever I create buns and have like a really smooth, sleek down look. And number two, because I was using hair elastics that were constantly catching my hair when I was pulling them out. I was recently introduced to silk scrunchies earlier last year by a local Toronto brand called the Silk Labs. It is owned by this amazing girl named Jenna. She's such a sweetheart. She actually gifted them to me originally to just try out, and ever since I've been like a full convert, and now I've collected like a variety of silk scrunchies, and I don't think I'm going to turn back anytime soon, unless I do need that elastic for like a specific hair look, because I have to put a bow on top of it or like a ribbon or something. But these are phenomenal. Not only can you pull it off of your hair without snagging any pieces, you know, sometimes when you pull out elastics points and it rips out some hairs with you. Silk is not going to do that. It also creates less of a dent in my hair whenever I tie it up. I don't know how that works since my hair is still in the same spot when it's tied up as an elastic, but I don't get that weird dent at the top of my hair when I take my hair down. The slip is also phenomenal for kind of like, I guess, being smooth on your hair, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a massage on your hair every time you pull it down. It is so gentle on your hair. I can't go back. So I highly recommend, if you are somebody who ties up your hair quite frequently, switch over to a silk scrunchie. It is going to change your life. I have thick silk scrunchies, like really chunky, huge scrunchy ones. I have smaller scrunchy ones who aren't like as aggressive in your hair. And then I also have these silk elastic scrunchies, which have the elastic inside, but it's silk on the outside. So if you like the elastic look and you want something a little bit thinner, then definitely opt for something like this. She has them in a bunch of different colors. There's like a black, brown, pink, and white, but you can get other colors too. And they're nice and thin so that you can tie them onto your hair without feeling like you have a thick, aggressive scrunchie sitting on the back of your head. So yeah, haven't turned back since I started using these. The only other hair tool or item or accessory that I've been using quite a lot this year are claw clips. So I acquired a couple of these, but this is probably my favorite one that I've purchased within the past year, and this is actually from Amazon, believe it or not. This came in a pack of 4. There was a pink, blue, green, and a black one. They were fairly muted, like these kind of pastel-y gray toned ones, and I really like it because it fits with my overall aesthetic and what I wear every day anyways. So my problem is I have straight hair, but I also have really thick hair, and because it's straight, it doesn't hold a shape well. It constantly slides up whenever I'm putting it up into any sort of shape, unless I'm using product to hold it in place or something is very tight. So my issue is that a lot of the claw clips that I've been purchasing over the past year are too small. They don't fit all of my hair in place until I found these ones. These ones are humongous and they can like grip everything. The spring is really strong. I also like these ones because the springs have been spray painted the same color as the rest of the clips. You don't just see that like metal here, which I think sometimes looks a little bit cheap when you buy the clips and then it just has like a piece of silver metal here for the spring. It blends in nicely and looks super chic. It keeps my hair in place. It's a really strong clip and it holds a lot of hair as well, so I don't ever really struggle with my hair slipping or falling off. So I will also include the link for these specific clips that I purchased down below in the description bar if you're also facing that issue and you struggle with your hair slipping out or clips not being able to hold all of your hair in place. These have been my savior for days when I don't want to tie my hair up with a scrunchie. Number 7 is going to be a makeup item. I use so much makeup and I don't really switch up my routine that often, so a lot of the things that I was using last year weren't necessarily new to me, but the one thing that I have been trying recently, and I love it, I was so blown away by the results, and it is the Urban Decay All-Nighter Ultra Matte Long Lasting Makeup Setting Spray. That was a mouthful. This is the setting spray and I absolutely love it. I don't use it every single day, mostly just on days like today when I'm filming or shooting a lot of stuff because I need my makeup to really stay on my face all day long. And what I love about this setting spray is that it doesn't take a lot. I just do like 1, 2, 3, 4 spritzes around my face, fan it in, give it a couple seconds to dry, and my face stays on the entire day without any sort of smudging or removal at all. Like, I kid you not, I've told you before, I have really oily eyelids and the whole oily eye area, so that mascara usually smudges quite a bit, and when I apply this, I get 0 smudging around the bottom of my eyes. No raccoon face, my lipstick stays on all day. Also, I don't know what it is, but it helps it to like really sink into my skin and makes it look like second skin. On days when I don't use this and I just wear makeup alone, the makeup for some reason ends up separating from the top of my skin and sits on the top layer, and you can see where it cracks around my pores and it just looks cakey, like it's not attractive. When I use this, it just melts it into my skin and makes it look like I'm wearing my makeup as if it is my skin versus seeing the makeup sitting on top. I don't know how to explain it. It's something you have to see in person to really understand what it looks like. But for anybody that wears makeup and feels like it's caking your skin, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This stuff is like, it's gold. It keeps your makeup on all day long. So for my long wear days, I really love applying this onto my makeup after I apply my whole face. I think the claims for this are something up to like, it says 16-hour wear. I'm not wearing my makeup for 16 hours. I probably usually only wear it max 8 to 10 hours at least, and that's from like start to finish when I apply it, film all my videos, and then I get too lazy and hungry to take my makeup off and I just take it off at the end of the night. I'm not wearing it for 16 hours. Like never, that's not a thing for me. But if you needed to, I think this would work really, really well. It's also gonna work really well for anybody who has to work under set lights. If you have a lot of lights on you and they tend to warm up and it kind of makes you sweat a little bit, your makeup is not going to run with this. I've literally sprayed this on my makeup and then gone to the gym after spending an entire day filming videos, and my makeup does not budge at all, even after I'm sweating at the gym. So cannot recommend this anymore for anybody who has an issue with their makeup smudging or moving or lifting from their face and looking cakey by the end of the day. Highly, highly recommend this. This was gifted to me, but I have purchased a second bottle since, and I'm like, I thrive off of this to finish my makeup whenever I am applying a full face of makeup and I don't want it to budge at all. Okay, number 8. This specific one was gifted to me, but I think I've already purchased 5 or 6 other ones of this exact one. So let's just jump right into it. This is the Lola Cabernet Franc Cabernet Sauvignon wine from Pelee Island. So Pelee Island Winery is actually a winery that produces a whole variety of different wines. I have never, ever, ever in my life been much of a red wine drinker. I don't know what it is about the pandemic, but this past year, I've become a red wine convert, and it's exclusively what I drink now. Like, I still drink whites here and there, but I think I prefer the boldness and the fragrance and the flavors of a red so much more. And because we've been at home, I've been drinking wine so much more the past year that I've learned to really appreciate the different subtle notes in different types of wines. And I think for anybody who's interested in getting into reds, you need to try this one. It is such a light but very vibrant and bold and flavorful red that it doesn't feel dry on your tongue. It's just like a mouthful of flavor. It's like a flavor explosion in your mouth. I don't know how to explain it, but this wine is so great. I actually went through a couple of these bottles of my own, and I was tagging them in my stories when they reached out and asked if they could give me some wine. So they actually sent me this specific bottle here. I'm almost done it. I don't know if you can see. There's like this much left on the bottom, but I would gladly go back and order like cases and cases of this red wine, even as somebody who has now developed a palate for red wine, and I've definitely tried some more expensive vintage ones since. I still go back and gravitate towards this one. This one is such an easy wine to drink on its own too. You definitely don't need to pair this together with food. Sometimes when I'm editing late at night and I just want a little drink, I pour out a little glass for myself and just sip that on the side while I'm editing my videos, and I don't feel the need to accompany it with any sort of snacks or munchies or food. It's such like a delectable wine to consume on its own. Highly, highly recommend it. If you guys are, of course, legally in drinking age and you do like wines and you want to get into reds, or you just like reds in general and you want to try a new one, this one is phenomenal. It's definitely my favorite red at the moment, and I've absolutely also got a couple of other people hooked onto this one as well. So if you guys want to try it, highly, highly recommend it. We are working towards favorite number 9. So this one's definitely not going to be a new one. You've already seen it on my channel before, so I'm going to link a card above for the review for this one. But these are my Bottega Veneta lug boots. I thrived off of these when I purchased these earlier this year. So I'm gonna put one down because I can't carry both. It's gonna balance really weirdly in my hands. But I love these boots so much. In 2019, I had my eye on them, but I wasn't sure if I really, really liked them. And I decided to take the plunge in 2020 and to bring them home with me. I just love how simple this silhouette is. It is so sleek, gets so utilitarian and chic. I don't know what it is about it. It's like, it has like some subtle hints of femininity. I think it's from the beautiful sheen of the leather, but then the silhouette of it is so edgy and bold at the same time that the two mesh really well together. And I've worn this with like literally everything, and I love these boots. These are probably my favorite boots that I've acquired this past year, and I can definitely see myself wearing this so much more into this year and into the next few years as well. It has such a classic silhouette too. It's not too much of a statement, even though it is a very bold shoe. I like the fact that it's black all over. Bottega has recently released these shoes for, I believe, a special 2020 collection. This one actually came out in 2019, like I said, so it's a little bit older, but the 2020 collection had a similar silhouette, but they had these colorful rubber soles. I think I've seen the black one with a bright green sole, a brown sole, and there's also a clear sole. One of my friends has this one with the clear sole in it, but I liked how sleek and simple the black on black was. So I am so happy that I finally took the plunge and made this purchase. I spent a year lamenting after it and finally brought it home. And that's when you know you really love something. If you're still pining for a year afterwards, make the plunge, because that means it's going to be worth it. So very happy with these ones. They fit with everything. They're fairly comfortable to wear. I had a couple people warn me that they would be a little bit tight and would give you blisters, but thankfully I am one of the lucky ones, and I'm very fortunate in the fact that these ones don't give me blisters anywhere at all. The only thing I would recommend is when you break them in, wear some like tube socks that come up to the top here, because the stitching on the top does rub into your feet and your legs a little bit, and it may cause a little bit of blistering, but once you wear these boots in and the leather softens up to your body shape a little bit, it's definitely not going to bug you anymore. So absolutely love these, and I am excited to wear them back out again once the snow stops, because I don't want to wear this in a snowstorm and get salt stains all over these. So once it's dry, I will definitely be breaking these ones back out for the winter time. We are down to the very last one, and this one is a little bit more of a home piece. As you know, we've all been spending so much more time at home within this past year, so Peter and I have kind of made it the focus to elevate our home life experience so that's a little bit more enjoyable, given that we're spending so much more time at home. So we actually were gifted these pieces, but I have already purchased one for myself, and I've purchased them for some friends as well, and I can't get over it. It's completely changed our life at home, and it is the Our Place pan. So this is the one that we have. I can't remember exactly what color this one is. I think this is in the color Steam. So it has the spruce steamers with it. I'm going to take them out so you can show you guys what they actually look like on its own. The pan looks like this. You guys have probably seen this all over Instagram already. They have a lot of ads running for this, but I love this pan. This is probably by far the largest pan that we have. We have another 1 or 2 frying pans at home, but they're ones that we've had for the past 5 years. We had this Tefal one. I didn't really quite love it because the base is concave and all the oil usually like ends up collecting around the edges, and it just makes it really hard to cook anything in it. So I don't like that one. It's also too shallow, and oil always splashed out everywhere in that one, and it made our countertop and our stove top really, really dirty. So I wasn't a fan of this one. So when Our Place actually, no, I lied. I reached out to Our Place and asked if they'd be interested in collaborating together and for me to try out the pan. They said yes. I brought it home. I waited for probably about a month before sharing that I had it, and I was immediately sold on this. I love this pan so much. So first off, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. The pan comes like this. It has a lid on the top. It has this little kind of like metal strainer, and it also comes with a little spatula that comes on the side here. It rests here. It's a bamboo spatula that kind of sits here on the knob. I don't have it right now because we just used it last night. It's currently in the dishwasher being cleaned, but I really like the fact that there's a knob here for you to rest all of your spatulas on, so that you're not constantly looking for something to put it onto. Previously in the past, we've just left a little dish on the stove to put the spatula onto since it's dirty when you're not cooking, but I like that you can just leave it on here and just rest here without you having to find another dish to dirty up, which is phenomenal. The lid here is actually really cool. Where the spatula goes in, don't worry, the lid does close. There is a little cutout at the top here for the spatula to sit inside, and if you're not using the spatula, you can actually put the lid down flat, rotate it so it seals that little hole where the spatula goes into, and then your whole pan is fully sealed and no moisture will evaporate. However, if you do want moisture to evaporate, you can actually leave the spatula out and line the holes up on the edge here from the saucepan to the lid, and it just allows all of like the water and the liquid to evaporate off if you are steaming something and you want to kind of release a little bit of moisture. So that's really great. The pan also comes with, like I said, a really shallow steamer here. We usually use this for vegetables if you want to slightly submerge it into here, which is great. We've steamed a lot of things from like salmon to broccoli, to different other vegetables like spinach as well, and it makes it so easy for you to lift up and strain without having to get a separate strainer. We loved it so much that we ended up also getting the Spruce steamers as well, and if you guys follow me on Instagram, then you'll know that Peter and I are addicted to at-home dim sum. We haven't been able to go to dim sum this past year, and we used to go so frequently, like at least once a month in the past, and dim sum is a communal type of dining. You definitely want to go with multiple people so you can try a bunch of different things and have like one small thing from each piece without having to feel like you have too much food. But since you can't really do that with the pandemic, we've been purchasing dim sum from Nations and TNT to bring home and to make it here to kind of still get that taste of dim sum. Of course, it's not the same and it's not fresh compared to actually going to dim sum in a restaurant, but what can you do, right? So we actually got these Spruce steamers. You actually stack them on top of the pan. It is so easy to put them on. It goes like this, and you can stack multiples on top of them as well. Put one on top here, and then you just like put your parchment paper lined inside and put your food into here, and it just makes it so easy to steam food. We only have 2, and I think that's more than enough for me and Peter when it comes to steaming food for us to eat. 2 trays fills us up completely. just like it'd be one person eating one tray each, and yeah, that's like way more than enough for us. So I am so obsessed with these ones, and I definitely think if you guys have the Always pan, you should definitely also get these Spruce steamers that are going to change your life, and you're gonna have so many other options when it comes to cooking food differently. Highly, highly recommend. So that is it for my best of 2020 roundup. A lot of these were geared towards more just like home lounge things. I definitely think that if this was 2019, I probably would have picked things like, I don't know, picking a new luggage to go somewhere because it had phenomenal wheels on it, but because we didn't really travel anywhere, things like that didn't really fall into the realm. These were all just lifestyle upgrades for ourselves personally, with a couple of extra superfluous things here and there, like my bag and the boots. But yeah, all these were my favorites that I purchased in 2020, and things that I do not regret purchasing at all. In fact, these were all things that I really enjoyed having new to my life in 2020, and I don't regret a single one of them, whether I purchased them or I was gifted them. A lot of the times, gifted things that come into my home don't end up getting used because I don't really find a lot of purpose for them, but these ones were, even though gifted, I ended up using them so much more, to the point where I think, oh, there's dust in the middle of the air here, where I think that like, wow, where, like, how was I living without these before my life? They just instantly make my life so much better. But yeah, that's my roundup. As always, everything will be linked down in the description bar below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. I would also love to know what specific items have made your own list as the best of the best for 2020 for yourself. Has anything significantly improved or changed your life by having it? And if so, let me know down below, because I want to check out some new things for this year as well. Stay tuned, because I am going to be releasing a video of my worst of 2020. Not necessarily like they were bad things, just things that I acquired that I regret, because obviously, like I said, there are things that I end up receiving or buying that afterwards I'm just like, why did I buy that? That was a waste of money. Or like, why did I get that? I'm never gonna use it. So I definitely will be doing a huge roundup of that as well, another 10 things. So stay tuned for that. And if you guys have any questions in regards to any of these products that I shared, please let me know. I would be more than happy to share some more insight and my thoughts on these items with you guys. If you haven't already followed me on Instagram, make sure to check me out over here. I post a lot more fashion content on there, and some really fun tutorial reels on like things like how to pose, how to style different outfit pieces together. I also have a TikTok where I make some more like off the cuff funny videos, so if you want to see more of me on there, you can check me there out as well. And if you guys haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you do, because that way you can get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. And I know a lot of you guys don't subscribe to me, even though you still watch my videos. I see my analytics, so make sure you subscribe, so that way you can stay notified every single time we upload something new on here. But otherwise, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!